Tell me more about the role of Samson, his story from the Book of Judges. Certainly, the Book of Judges is a fascinating and intense section of the Bible, filled with dramatic events and deep moral lessons. Here are its main themes. Cycles of sin and redemption. The Israelites repeatedly fall into sin, face oppression, cry out to God, and then receive a deliverer, a judge, to restore order. This pattern happens over and over. Leadership and imperfection. The judges were not perfect heroes. Some had flaws, like Samson's recklessness or Gideon's doubt, yet God still used them to accomplish his purposes. God's mercy and justice, despite Israel's repeated failures. God remained faithful, delivering them when they turned back to him. But he also allowed consequences for their disobedience. Spiritual and moral decline. The book reveals how Israel gradually strayed further from God, leading to deep moral chaos, especially toward the end. Need for a king. Judges highlights the lack of stable leadership and hints at the coming monarchy, setting the stage for the rule of kings like Saul and David. It's a book of both warning and hope, showing how God's faithfulness continues despite human failure. Second, who is Samson? Samson was one of the most famous judges of Israel, known for his extraordinary strength and dramatic life story. His role in the Book of Judges centers around delivering Israel from the oppression of the Philistines. Here's a deeper look at his significance. His birth and Nazirite vow. Samson's birth was miraculous. His mother, who was barren, received a divine message that her son would be dedicated as a Nazirite from birth. Nazirites had strict vows, including abstaining from alcohol, avoiding unclean food, and never cutting their hair. His strength and feats. Samson's strength was legendary, tied directly to his uncut hair. He performed incredible feats like tearing apart a lion with his bare hands, slaying 1,000 Philistines with a donkey's jawbone, and carrying away the massive gates of Gaza. His flaws and downfall. Despite his divine calling, Samson had personal weaknesses, particularly his attraction to Philistine women. His most famous mistake was trusting Delilah, who deceived him into revealing that his strength depended on his hair. Once she cut it, he was captured and blinded by the Philistines. His redemption and final act. In his final moments, Samson prayed for one last burst of strength and pulled down the pillars of a Philistine temple, killing himself and thousands of Philistines in the process, securing a final victory for Israel. Symbolism and legacy. Samson's life is a complex mixture of divine purpose and human failure. He represents God's power working through flawed individuals, but also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of recklessness and temptation. Furthermore, Samson's story is still relevant today because it explores timeless themes of strength, weakness, and redemption. Here's how his life resonates with modern life. Power and responsibility. Samson was given incredible strength, but he didn't always use it wisely. This reflects how people today, whether in leadership, wealth, or influence, must use their gifts responsibly rather than recklessly. Temptation and consequences. His downfall came because of his choices, particularly his weaknesses in relationships. In modern life, people often struggle with temptations, whether in personal life, career, or decisions, and Samson's story shows how ignoring wisdom can lead to downfall. Faith and redemption. Despite his failures, Samson turned back to God in his final moments and accomplished his mission. His story reminds people today that even after mistakes, redemption is possible. Overcoming challenges. After losing his strength and sight, Samson faced humiliation. Yet in the end, he rose up one last time to make an impact. This mirrors the resilience many must find when facing setbacks in life. Samson's life is full of lessons about character, choices, and second chances.